about the Greater West Bloomfield community. I'm Ronnie Dahl. We want to say thank you very, very much for waking up with us this morning. Hope you had the chance to get out and enjoy the beautiful weather. And of course, after the 2-year hiatus due to the COVID crisis, Memorial Day traditions returned to the area. It was simply incredible yesterday in Sylvan Lake. It was all smiles as the parade made its way along Garland Avenue. Mother Nature delivered a picture perfect day for the celebration. The kids had a blast. But the most touching and memorable part of the day was the ceremony at the end of the parade to honor our veterans. And the person who made that happen, Kathy Robbins. Kathy, good morning.
Good morning, Ronnie.
I'm so sorry I didn't have a chance to say hi to you yesterday, but what a beautiful, beautiful tribute.
We were just so delighted. The weather worked well. The crowds were out. The children were on their bikes. It was a nice morning, wasn't it?
And the crowd, there were quite a few people there.
Yes, there were. And they were standing in the street. They joined us in that heat and the sunshine, and we're just delighted that they were able to do that.
Can I ask you, how long does it take you to organize this? I know you do it year after year, but it changes every year as well.
Yes, and especially since we were unable to gather for the last 2 years, it was almost like starting over with new thoughts of seating and comfort for the veterans, reaching out to them. Jim and I started at the beginning of this year. We met and talked periodically, but it really ramps up in the last 8 weeks as we gather the parade goers, the people in the parade as they make their way down to the park. My position there is I work with reaching out to the veterans. I have a veteran, Greg Miller, who joins me in making phone calls and reaching out, letting them know that we are again on full speed ahead, some subtle changes, but we are back.
And so with that, the first year in 2 years, how were those conversations? Because it has to make you a little bit nervous when you see and hear the news about the spike in COVID.
Yes, it did. And trust me when I tell you, week to week, we were watching that very carefully. The first year, it caught us off guard. We couldn't believe that we could not have this gathering, but we knew early on, past March, that we were headed that way. Last year, we were expecting it. We did other more quiet, subtle things for the veterans. And this year, we were prepared to follow the numbers. What was going to be safe? Their safety is the most important thing. These gentlemen and women, they worked long and hard for the military. We don't want anything happening in a gathering in our city.
It's funny, we went to the Boba Club on, I think it was Sunday night, and we drove past the park there, and it was set up. It was ready for the next day. The flags were out, and even my husband was like, wow, that looks amazing. They do such a great job here, but it really is the dedication of you and so many other people that make it happen.
Absolutely. We have layers of people who prepare that park. It starts with the city. John Martin and his crew, Denise, they look out after us. This is the city park. It does not belong to any group. And they arrange for the DPW to prepare the park for us with the lawn cutting, the mulching, that sort of thing. That's followed by the garden club. We have a very active, dozens of fine men and women who work that garden and make those flowers gorgeous. They get that park ready for then us to sweep in with the banners, the flags. We have Sharon Marina, who provides the pots for the monument that we have there. And also what we'd like for the city employees and the everyone who comes together is it just so appreciated. It's layers and layers of people that put this together.
Can I ask you about the missing man table? You walk up and no words are even needed at that point. You know it has significance.
Absolutely. The missing man table was new to me this year, actually. And I will start by saying the focus is really on the killed in action. We recognize our vets, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but the killed in action is what Memorial Day is all about. And we have tremendous respect for that concept. Wes Cottrell, who is a Sylvan Lake resident, brought that remembrance to us this year. And what that represents is that at dinner tables all across America and in military dining areas, they have tables that represent the missing person. Each item on the table, a candle, a flower, salt, lemon, represents a certain aspect of the sweetness, the bitterness, the sorrow that families go through when someone is missing from their table through being killed in action. Wes Cottrell read the list, and I would urge your viewers to look that up. The Missing Man Table. It's quite detailed, and it's quite solemn.
Yeah, and I had never heard of this before, and I've been covering these events for, we don't want to count the years, but for so many years, and we know about the poppies and, you know, the story behind that, but this was very first time, and I thought it really added that touch to remind all of us exactly why we were there yesterday.
Absolutely.
So do you want to talk about, you had a long list of guests as well, starting with the veterans that were being honored.
Yes, first and foremost, we are there to acknowledge the killed in action, of which we have 5 associated with our city. The names are read in a roll call. There is a moment of silence. And while we're aware that this day is for those killed in action, we also take this opportunity, which is a long tradition in our city, to recognize our existing veterans, which we have 35. They are our second most important guests. They assemble at the park, those who can, and their names are also read in a roll call. Their branch of service, their what if they're in the Army or Navy or Marines. And we have a World War II vet that we're very honored to, all the way up to current day. So we have quite a few names. Now, our additional guests that joined us this year, first we start with Pastor Chrisman from our local Greater Harvest Church of God. And he always does the prayer, which is very nice. Wes Cottrell did the Missing Man Table right after that. We have a flag raising, and this year it was Boy Scout Troop 160, very important part. And followed by that, we had music by John Martin for the national anthem. John Martin is our city manager, and he has always provided the music for this event, which is just so valuable to us. Then a Pledge of Allegiance by John Martin. And then from there, we went to the House of Representatives, Haley Stevens. And our keynote speaker was Brenda Lawrence. She represents our area. As you know, she's retiring. So we were delighted to have her come to our park and celebrate our veterans with us. And then after that is when I spoke.
And if we could talk, Brenda, because as you mentioned, she's retiring, but for her, I had a brief moment to speak with her afterwards, and she said, you know, one of her first Memorial Days as an elected leader was at Sylvan Lake, so she thought it was fitting to come back to Sylvan Lake. That's how much the community means to her and so many other people, because you guys do such a great job.
Yes, it was delightful to hear that was the reason she came to our city. We have a small city. We have 1,800 residents. We have about 850 homes. And we were delighted that our representatives do notice us, yes.
I could tell you, it seemed like every single resident was out there yesterday.
Yeah, very nice crowd. And it was probably the largest crowd I've seen. And one of the people who came from the parade and stood in that street in that heat said to me, I could get real emotional here, is that, what do you think our veterans did in their time of service? How many times were they at attention or in a situation where they had heat and cold and snow and a situation that wasn't comfortable for them? This is the least we can do, is to be out there and let them know we support them.
Well, and with that, I know that you spend so much time on this. Can I ask you, what does this mean for you? Why do you do it?
Because it's important work, they deserve it. They've given up a great deal for our country long ago that stays with them their whole life. I do it because I hear this from them. Every veteran has a story. I have heard stories with men weeping in their driveways. I have received phone calls and letters telling me that they are so glad to be a part of our community who supports them. I can tell you this year, we currently have 35 veterans that we celebrated yesterday. 6 of them are new, but they've lived in the city for a number of years and just now are letting us know who they are. We try to be respectful. We do not search people out, but we want to know if they would like to join us. So it means a lot to me. And another aspect is, I always try to remember are the military families. Many of those people in the streets were military families. It is not just the veterans who are either suffering for loss or support these people. I am a proud sister of 3 Vietnam veterans. And as a teenage girl, I helped my mom bake cookies in the 1960s to send over. This was from 1966 through 1972. One brother was wounded, came back with a Purple Heart. It affected his life. He is no longer alive. So these are the things I think about personally and community-wide. Our community is brought together, individuals and groups, to let these men and women know they did important work, and we want to respect that and show our gratitude.
And thank you also for taking a moment to recognize it's the entire family, because we know that when our servicemen and women come back, it takes a village sometimes to help them support them, because they're not the same person that went over prior to join the service.
Absolutely. Many were not treated well in the Vietnam era by the government and some public. And it's our goal to really acknowledge that life in that time was not easy for them. And we just want them to feel that there's respect and gratitude in Sylvan Lake.
I love that. Hey, Kathy, before I let you go, if we can kind of talk about a moment of service and, just taking the time to volunteer and give back to your community. There were so many little kids out there yesterday, and I think seeing so many people pull this off really sends a pretty strong message to the next generation.
Mm-hmm. It does, and part of the reason some of us, like Jim Smith, who I report to, and Greg Miller, who works with me, we do want people to know on shows like this that everyone can do something to volunteer. It lifts up our whole city. We have so many groups that do this here, and it's layers and layers, and it's important.
Well, hats off to you and the entire team. It was a beautiful parade. It was a fun parade, but then it really had a touching end to it, and we all stopped and paused for why we were actually taking a moment to honor them on Memorial Day. Kathy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ronnie. It's been great speaking with you.
Happy day to you. Hey, by the way, if you know someone that's making a difference in our community, we want to know about it. You can let us know and show your gratitude. You can scan the QR code right there on the screen, fill out the Google form with the person's contact info and why you think they should be recognized. It can be a person, a business, or an organization. And you can also find this form by going to civiccentertv.com. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Teens a day die from texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID. We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
And now, back to the Splash, live.
In the fine city of Keto Harbor, the parade rolled along Cass Lake Road to the delight of kids big and small. More than 30 participants took part in this year's parade, including the West Bloomfield High School Marching Band, dancers from Shannon's Dance Academy, and several local businesses, including one of our favorites, the Dairy Queen. If you missed the fun, you can watch it on demand at civiccentertv.com. It was so much fun out there, a lot of dogs as well. You're watching The Splash Live, your local channel, sharing stories from West Bloomfield, Keto Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake. Catch the show live Monday through Friday starting at 9:30 a.m. and on demand at civiccentertv.com. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Great to have you back with us here. We're going to switch the focus just a little bit. Keto, Paleo, Weight Watchers, South Beach. For all of those struggling to lose LBSs, you know those words, right? And finding a diet that actually works can be a daunting task. To help us navigate the confusion, fitness trainer and nutrition coach Gayle Taub joins us this morning. Good morning. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Ronnie.
Okay, you know, I'm one of those women, because once you hit that certain age, boy, everything changes. And every single one of those diets I have tried, do they work?
So scientifically, they will, of course. You know, there is a science to the body. And but the trouble is, guys, we don't live in our lives as scientific experiments. We live our lives in an everyday. So, you know, with all of the programs and the diets and the claims and the immediate gratification, which is what a lot of people are looking for, the diet, I call it diet confusion. There's a lot of it out there, guys. What works? What's right? What's wrong? How come she can and he can, but I can't? And I did it. It must work. I lost the weight, but then I gained it back. All of this confusion.
That is so true. I'm still waiting for that one shot, the magic shot. I mean, come on. We send someone to the moon. Can't they give me a shot and make me skinny?
No. No, Ronnie, it's not coming. It's not coming. We got to take care of ourselves. It's not an easy task, but it is definitely possible. It's definitely possible.
And we do know, too, what works for one person doesn't work for another. So what do you tell your clients when they're trying to navigate this world and find out what works for their body?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think number one, my approach to helping people is never to tell them anything, right? So who am I to say that this is the right or wrong thing for you in your lifestyle? Listen, our bodies are resilient. If you choose to go on a restrictive diet of some sort and it works for you, and when I say works, it means that it works in the moment and for the long term, then who am I to say that it it isn't right for you. Again, our bodies are very resilient. We are walking around eating all kinds of things and taking care or not taking care of ourselves. And for the most part, we're all doing it. We just have a lot of aches and pains and things we don't need to deal with and putting ourselves at risk. So, there's no magic shot. When you work with me, I rather try and understand your thinking and listen to what is important to you, and then try and make sense of what is working and what is not. And I will tell you that most of the time, when people start to settle down and think through and speak through some of their reasoning and their thought process, a lot of the times they don't know why they're doing something. They don't understand it, which is in fact why it doesn't work in the long run. There's a saying that's out there, I use it all the time. People do not resist change. They resist being changed. So if you're told what to do, if someone tries to say, oh, you need to do this and you should do that, you might try it and it may work physically or scientifically, but it doesn't work for you. When you decide what you want to work, what you decide, then something will stick.
Coach Gail, what was that quote again? Because I'm stealing it from you.
Yeah. So the quote is, people do not resist change. They resist being changed. All those helpful friend and family and businesses out there that have the answer for you, they don't. They don't have the answer. That's why most of the time, and I never speak in absolutes, Ronnie, I always speak in majorities, right? Or the way that I believe and I teach. When someone tells you, think about it. Think about the last time someone told you what was best for you. Did you do it? Did you say, how do you know what's good for me? Come on now, that's not it at all. You don't get me. So when we try and help, we're really not. The listening helps. The professionalism and understanding of where to take that conversation is what you really could benefit from.
Hey, Coach Gail, I'm listening to you and I feel like you're really in a way kind of a therapist.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because I like to differentiate. There's definitely a difference between a coach and a mental health professional. And while we do overlap just a little bit, here's how I like to describe the difference. A mental health professional is going to really examine and have you get deep within yourself and look backward. Why? What caused me in my life to be in a way that I am today, that I like or I don't like, that I need to change or I don't need to change? A coach, who I am, helps you to look forward. How do I do something, right? Now, sometimes we coexist. There are a lot of people that benefit from looking backward with a professional that can do that with them and working with me. Sometimes it's better to do one or the other. So one of the things that I pride myself on is when I'm working with someone who really is struggling to make progress moving forward, we do have a conversation and they do get to make a decision if they want to consult with a mental health professional, but it's not the same thing.
So if we can touch on the diets again, and I guess should we even use that word? Because it's really about trying to figure out what works for you and make it a lifestyle change.
Yeah. When I also like to differentiate by saying when you decide to turn a switch on and off, follow directions, eat specific foods and amounts that are being told to you, that is a diet. That is something restrictive and that has some guidelines, and there's a place for that in this world. Ooh, excuse me. Oh my goodness.
That's one of your, I did that last week. Don't worry, I did that last week. Because you're in demand, Coach Gail. I'm telling you, you're in demand.
That's funny. Sorry about that. So yes, that is called a diet. When you are making decisions for yourself, and maybe it's a little of everything that ends up working for you, that's not so much a diet. That's just called taking care of yourself. And you can do it no matter where you are or what you're doing or whatever your life circumstances. And that's another differentiator right there. If you're following a diet and you can't apply it when you're on vacation or when you're traveling for work or when you're being a mom or a dad or a family member or a friend in your social situations, if you can't apply it If it's really restrictive and it doesn't work, you might want to rethink about that, because you're going on and off of it, or you're feeling penalized. And that's not exactly something that works long term either. You're only going to take so much of that. So when you learn to take care of yourself and you learn to eat properly for you, you can apply that in your life no matter where you are, what you're doing.
And I think about so many people that I know, it's also about trying to understand, like, it's time to invest in yourself. And I'm thinking about you and your services, because we can find everything online these days, but how do you navigate the information? But what do you tell people to let them know it's okay to invest in themselves by seeing someone such as yourself?
Well, that the possibilities are there. That's number one. Hope is there and possibilities are there. There is the opportunity for you to get well or better than you are. I would also say that when you're looking online, you know, sometimes people just have to go through their own decision making, like I said before they realize that it's not doing them any good. So the people I usually work with are the ones that are tired. They're the ones that have gone online. They're the ones that have tried, which I do recommend you do, because it's in there. You almost can't ignore that. You can't stifle it. Otherwise, you're going to question everything that we do together. And you're going to think that there's something easier or better out there. So when you're looking at all of that, give it a try and see how it works for you, for how long, how you feel, what results you get, and how long you can maintain it. If you're then done with trying, then it might be time to call me.
And how often do your clients typically see you? Is it once a week, twice a week?
So for fitness training, people go anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week. And I always tell them, it's what you feel is right for you. So let's start one place and we can always change. It's the beauty of having a private trainer. With regard to coaching, I also have people that talk to me scheduled once a week, twice a week, and I also have people going once every 2 weeks or even once a month. It really depends on what makes sense and what you want to kind of try, because the goal working with me, guys, is that you're not attached to me for the rest of your lives. It's a teaching, right? You're learning, and it does take time. And so I have a lot of people that are with me for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. However, there's a moment in which you just want to see, what can I do on my own without Gail? And so we, instead of going cold turkey and saying we're done, we go every 2 weeks or every month, and you see how it feels, and we can always adjust back or front. So it really does depend on the person and their circumstances.
I have a feeling, though, people, you become a friend to a lot of these people.
You are not joking. I love my people. I love every last one of them for who they are. And you're right. We do get to be friends. There's a professional line, without a doubt, but we come to really, really respect each other and the process and the fun that comes from that. That relationship is off the chain. It's awesome.
Quickly, your phone number and website.
Yeah, 248-885-1400. And website is CoachGayle.com. And I spell my name Gayle.
Well, Coach Gail, we always appreciate talking to you. You give us such good advice. Thank you so much. And everyone, if you want to watch the previous interviews, you can do that by going to civiccentertv.com. Thanks so much, Coach Gail.
Thank you. Have a good day, Ronnie.
That's going to wrap it up for today's edition of The Splash Live. I want to say thank you to all of our guests today for taking time to be with us, and to all of our friends in Eagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, and West Bloomfield. Thank you for tuning in.